Next up, we're gonna do the energy trails in the speed tunnel, and we will use the previous setup as the base for this. So with this level open, I will go to File, Save Current Level As, and save it as level 07 underscore energy trails. We can delete the second effector, and I want to go to Create Shapes Sphere. And basically we just want to scale this down on the X and Y axis, but not the Z. So grab the gizmo just like this, just to basically thin it out. So you can unlock the scale, and I did 0.005 on the X and Y and 0.45 on the Z. So I just have this thin object, and we can make it movable and drop it under the cloner. We can delete the red arrows, and we need to just rotate them 90 degrees on the Y. And then for the effector, you can do -100. Let's try that on the X. And I think you can start to see this coming together. Now you can just increase the radius of the sphere. So I want to make a copy of the sphere because we want two materials. The second sphere, we can go to materials and grab our MI emissive one. And for the second one, I want a blue one. So I'll copy this one, Control D. And I believe we don't have color control for the emissive color. So we need to open the M_emissive material. And here we need to right click and convert to parameter, call it emissive color. Save that. And so back in the material instance, we now have emissive color, which we can change to a nice blue color and apply that to our sphere 1. And here we go. So all we gotta do now is just maybe play around with the bloom a little bit, lower the threshold, increase the intensity. What you might wanna do is randomize the length of the trails, and we can enable range, which we haven't used before. We can make it go from, let's say, 0.5 to 1, and this will give you different sizes. So I'll just move the cloner further back so it's out of the shot, just like this. And we can search for contrast in our post-process volume, increase that as usual. And then really all I did was just drop the GPU group into the sequencer, set a keyframe for transform, and maybe you can make it rotate from here to here. And I also want it to move forward like it's flying through the tunnel. So it just kind of rotates and moves forward. So I'll do 500 frames as usual, expand this out, extend the track, reset and play. And we need to make the keyframes linear, so hit 4. And now it already looks like it's moving at high speed. But what it needs is something moving in the background. So we're gonna use another cloner to give it that illusion of a tunnel. So you can disable the first cloner for now because it's distracting. And let's go under motion design, cloners, and create a new circle cloner. As always, reset everything, including the cubes that are in there. And so what you have by default is Cooper Station, but we need it to be standing up. So I recommend you don't actually rotate the cloner itself. It's better if you change the settings here. So for the plane, I want to say YZ, and you can uncheck Orient Mesh. And so we can increase the radius a bit more. And then I need to scale these cubes down. So let's try 0.5 on all axes. And then we can increase the count way more until we essentially get a pillar out of them. And then scroll down, and once again I want to set the spawn emission mode to infinite, emission style rate, enable lifetime, and then increase the emission rate a lot. So it's kind of going in circle like this. I want the lifetime to be the same number, so let's try 5 and 5. And finally, we can go to effector, create linked effector. I want this one to be called effector 2, so it's not confusing. And the shape should be unbound. And then again, enable the forces, enable gravity, 0 on Z, and let's try -150. Cool, so now you're gonna get something like this. So let's move the cloner all the way back. And I want more pillars, so I will just increase the emission rate even more. Maybe let's try 200. Cool, something like that is gonna work. And let's go to materials and give it our MI plastic 1 material to the cubes. And I want this tunnel to have a nice edge light coming in from the back. So let's grab this light here, hold Alt. I'm using just the location here to move it up and down, left and right, back and forth to see how I can illuminate these pillars in a nice way. So let's enable the first cloner as well so we can see it all together. And let's go to perspective, create camera, cine camera actor, drop it in here. I want to get out of the camera mode and look at what our light 3 is doing because it's pretty useless down here. So I'll just bring it in because we need to bring some more light onto the card. Nice, so something like that maybe. And if you play this, we have it nicely traveling through the tunnel. So here you go. And don't forget, this is just Lumen in the viewport. It does look much better if you render it with Path Tracer. You get much nicer motion blur, which really kind of helps sell this specific shot. We're not gonna go over Path Tracer rendering in this course. That's something we do in the full Unreal Motion course. But I think this is plenty for you to have some fun, and I hope that you learned some new techniques. And I'll see you in the next video as always.